Hey folks, this is Abel James, and thanks so much for joining us on Fat Burning Man, where we help you look, feel, and perform at your best. What does practicing medicine in the ER have in common with being a ninja warrior? As an ER doctor, climber, and ninja, our guest today specializes in high-pressure situations. Dr. Noah Kaufman, the Ninjadoc, stars on the hit TV show American Ninja Warrior. No slouch, he's also an avid rock climber of over 25 years and holds a black belt in karate. He's going to tell us what it's like to compete on the world's hardest obstacle courses and how regular people can get off the couch and start climbing too. And on that note, when you surround yourself with positive people who are also on a mission to get fit, rock their race, or even just ditch junk food, get their veg on a little bit, you'll be surprised by how well you can do when you get other people into the mix, and also how great you feel, because sometimes it feels like doom and gloom, especially these days, but there are many examples of communities today, in person and also virtual online, of people who are trying to get better together. You don't have to go it alone. So if you ever feel like you're the only one around who wants to eat right, get your veg on, get off prescription medications, take care of addictions, or rock your next race, if you want to take your health back, remember, you don't have to go it alone, and we've built a ton of programs, free and premium, for you guys. The one I want to talk about today is called the Fat Burning Tribe, and right now you can join for just $1, less than a cup of coffee, and it's usually $27 a month, but basically it's a group coaching community with access to many of our programs, cooking classes, seasonal recipes, and I hope you like them because I certainly do. My wife and I created the Fat Burning Tribe together, 6 or 7 years ago now, as a place that you can access all of our best videos, information, and recipes, and meal plans all in one place. Right now, you can join us for a discount and get wild meal plans at fatburningtribe.com. All you have to do from any device, computer, phone, or anything in between, just type into the URL bar, fatburningtribe.com, and you'll see us there. And don't forget, you can also get a free Wild Diet Quick Start Guide and 7-day meal plans just for joining the newsletter over at fatburningman.com. You can also find over 200 shows for free without outside advertising at fatburningman.com. So if you like this one, or you think a friend might, please share fatburningman.com with them as well. All right, on to the show with Dr. Kaufman, the Ninjadoc. On this show, we're talking about how to train like a ninja warrior, the best way to bounce back after an injury, why mind matters more than muscle, the 3 pillars of training for any sport, and how to kick butt even if you're over 40. Let's go hang out with the Ninjadoc. All right, folks, Dr. Noah Kaufman, the Ninjadoc, has dedicated his life to emergency medicine and helping others. He stars on the hit TV show American Ninja Warrior, is an avid rock climber of over 25 years, and holds a black belt in karate. When he is not busy saving lives in the ER, Noah loves to play blues guitar and write tunes. Sounds like we'll get along, my man. Welcome to the show, Ninjadoc.
Yeah, Abel, so good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Right on. Yeah, I can't wait to dig into this because there are so many things to talk about. But before we started recording here, I was just watching a video of your son, Zun, who is 3 years old at the time, doing things that any adult would not be able. 99.9% of adults would not be able to pull that off, right? Could you explain a little bit about what it's like to raise a monkey?
Well, right. Well, we're all raising monkeys, right? But Zun has been climbing since he was born.
Yeah.
I basically put sticky rubber onto his little, baby shoes.
Oh man.
And it's funny because we're not used to it, but kids can really start in on some of these things when they're very, very, very young. And so, yeah, he's like been climbing for 5 years. And so you take anybody who's been climbing for 5 years and they're decent. Right. You combine that with like great strength to weight ratio because he weighs, I think, like 46 pounds. Yeah. And he's doing really well now on the rocks, and I can't wait to see what he's able to do with whatever he chooses to do. He's mostly climbing because that's what Mama and I love to do, you know. Right.
But the coolest part about watching you on the TV show American Ninja Warrior, which if you folks haven't seen that, it is worth watching. It is very entertaining. But when you see someone like you come up and do a course, you can tell
that you're playing a different game. You're playing chess or poker, whereas other people are just kind of flying at obstacles. It's very calculated. You can tell that you've been dedicated to this for a long time, and you're approaching it in a completely different way because you're pulling these essential skills to a completely new domain. So can you help explain that to other folks, how you do that?
Yeah, well, with athletics or anything that you're trying to do in life, I really think that the more present you are in the moment, the more you're able to get into that, what people describe as the flow state, the better your results are going to be. And you kind of leave yourself behind in the worries of, I'm not going to do well, I'm going to fall, I'm going to this, that, and the other thing. So I think one of the things is outside of my climbing, which gives me great grip strength, I really think that a lot of my success on Ninja Warrior also has to do with the fact that I'm in high pressure situations frequently with my job as an ER doc.
Right.
And so, I'm really kind of, it's not the end of the world. I have fairly good perspective. So I go into it. I'm laughing, I'm having fun, and you're right. It's more strategic. And it kind of needs to be for me because, believe it or not, I'm actually not naturally a great athlete. There's guys out there who do like 10 one-arm pull-ups in a row.
Right.
And so, I can't even do one. I think I did one once. So
yeah.
For me, it's a very calculated thing, and my strongest muscle is my brain. So that's what I use when I'm out on the ninja course.
Yeah. And how do you teach other people to engage that muscle, like the muscle that you throw yourself into a new situation, how to figure it out, that type of thing?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to do that, and first and foremost, training. If you train box jumps all day long, you're going to get really good at box jumps.
Right.
But you may not be as good at jumping at an angle from on top of the box down onto a smaller box.
Yep.
And so one of the things that we train and that I train is variability, and we're always training differently so we can adapt to every situation. That's what the best ninjas do. And I think a lot of the best athletes, they don't just stay focused, honed in on one thing, but they're training adaptability and whatnot. Now, the other part of your question, though, and that's like that's the cerebellum, that's the physical aspects, but the mental aspects, there's a lot of different training you can do. We like to do a lot of mental training. And a lot of it is visualization. Before I get on any Ninja Warrior course, I've done the course in my head successfully maybe 30, 50 times, So I've already done it to a degree. And every time I visualize success, and it's funny because even in my own brain, occasionally, like I drop into the water when I'm visualizing it. I'm like, no. So, it's a tricky thing. And, none of us are perfect, but you do your best to have a successful, confident approach to what you're doing. And then there's just a myriad of things that I could tell you about the mental training we do. Everything from trying to hold on to the rock climbing wall as hard as we can until our hands pop off first before our feet, and just screaming. And that's mental training. And, you can do stuff like that. And the body will ultimately follow the mind. So if you can really train your mind, your body's going to follow, and you'll get to that, to your athletic potential, or close to it at least.
Yeah. Now, what about the times that you do fall, right? Because you're planning for all those successes, and I think that's what makes the more critical injuries that much more intense, because you're so focused on the visualization working out. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So what happens when it gets super serious all of a sudden?
So like when you fall on Ninja Warrior, for example, is that where
sure, we can start there.
Well, yeah, and I have, and many of the pros have, and everybody's fallen actually, except for one guy who made it the whole season without falling, and that was crazy. Jeff Britton.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's really, it's hard. Failures are tough, but they say, you don't really fail until you quit trying. So you have to step away from it, say, okay, yeah, that that didn't feel good. But you pick yourself back up and you say, what can I do better next time? Sometimes it's a little slip. Sometimes it's a variable outside of your control. But either way, there's always something to be learned from it. And, you just got to remember that life is a big, long process. And there's going to be more competitions and more ninja events.
Here's one thing that I noticed, though, about watching you that I totally loved. And this was something that I saw on the show, as well as in some of your climbing videos. When you have those little wins or big wins, the right wins, you do a little like fist pump, a little celebration dance, even if you're still like hanging on to the rock or the mountain or whatever, you're still like, woo, you catch your breath, you celebrate for a second, then you can tell you go right back into the zone.
Yes, we affectionately call that the look back. And
the look back.
Yeah. And it's kind of a funny little thing, but Ninja's been a great place to do the look back. You really only want to do that when you're 100%, when you're 99.9% sure that you're in there.
Right.
Because it would look really silly if you were to do the look back and celebrate and then fall.
Right.
So for a climber, you have to be on the finishing jug, like the last hold, or on Ninja. If you're a climber and you grab the top of that warp wall, someone could hang off the bottom of your legs and you'd still hold on.
Right.
So, it's kind of fun to hang there and soak it all in, to look back at Matt and Akbar, who are friends. Those are great guys. Yeah. The rest of the ninjas and everybody in the crowd. It's just, taking it all in and being present, very present in the moment.
That's what I mean, because I think there's a tendency, especially for things that are super competitive, like not only Ninja Warrior competitions, but also just making it to the top of a mountain or a super tough climb or something like that. Yeah. It's pretty easy, and you know this because you're also a doctor, to go into type A mode, celebrate nothing, and just keep on grinding and grinding and grinding. Right. And then you never reach the top, right?
You got to smell the flowers, when everybody out there, literally and figuratively, if you're walking by a beautiful flowering cherry tree, you got to stop and smell the blossoms. And it just makes life a little bit sweeter, and that's what you want. You want to focus on those little wins and on the beauty and the magic in life, because we don't have it forever.
Right. Now for you, how does I'm interested to know how your fitness changes over time, because you've probably been in a lot better shape in different ways at various points, but how do you choose and how do you maintain that baseline?
So the cool thing is based on experience and time, your technique and agility and overall athleticism, including mental control, all these like fine little knobs and dials. What I've noticed is that keeps going up. I'm 42 years old now, and I'm at the peak of my athletic abilities mentally and psychologically. And I'm sure there's going to be a peak to that. Now, physically, of course, I've peaked, and I'm not as strong as when I could do a one-arm pull-up. I used to be able to do so much more with my body, but I've made up for it, with technique and all those other things. And so now if I just train real hard for a few months, I get on the bike and I push myself as hard as I can, then I get myself physically to a peak state for what my body is capable of now. And when I combine that with the ever-increasing mental abilities, it really produces an athletic state that right now is the best in my life. But yeah, there's times when it's down, and I obviously deal with injuries like anybody else does, or a tendonitis here and there. And you really just have to realize that no matter what, you can keep improving to a certain point. But during your adult life, for me, and it depends partially on your genetics, but I know climbers in their 60s who are climbing harder than they've ever climbed. Right. 514. Right. Which is hard. That's really, really stinking hard. And so, it's a journey, and just realize that you don't have, as near a time limit. It's not like, okay, I'm in my early 30s. I'm like, I better get everything done because I'm going to lose my abilities soon. It's not like that at all, I found, so.
It's probably safer to learn when you're older, right? Because I remember when I was younger, I first started doing a little climbing, And the people who were teaching me are just like, stop using your stupid big biceps, you idiot. You know? So you can get in a lot of trouble by doing it the wrong way, right? If you're too strong in the wrong way.
Right. You can power through things, and that'll limit your technique. And obviously you want both, but if you focus on technique is always the most important thing. The physical tools, those will always come with training, and we're all born with a certain set of characteristics, and but the mind is really the most important thing to develop for any athletic pursuit.
Yeah, and to your point, I was watching the documentary, is it Meru, with Conrad Anker and a few other climbers who appear not to age. It's like kind of like with some rock stars. If they don't die when they're 26, they live forever. They kind of reach that max level, and then they still, even though, like you said, they might not be as strong as they were before, they are not the standard American story, right? It's like these people refuse to age. They refuse to accept what almost everyone else does, that we get old and sedentary and can't do anything anymore.
Yeah, and a lot of that's a mental state, and we've got people who are 60 and 70 years old who always wanted to try Ninja Warrior, coming out to our event here in Denver, just to try this ninja course.
Right.
And so they're getting up and they're getting after it. Jessie Graff, who's like the, super famous now, her mom is going to do Ninja Warrior this year.
No way.
In Daytona in a few days.
That's great.
With Jessie. And so I hope she does super well. She's amazing. But it's never too late to get off the couch and turn your life around and get fit. And it's never been more important than right now.
I think, because I experienced this as well, the scariest thing about a ninja course is that you're going to fall. You know that you're guaranteed to screw up. And that's probably what keeps most people in their little box, right? Because you haven't done stuff like that since recess, right? In elementary school, probably. But we all need it desperately.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, and it's part of the reason why. So we're doing this big charity event. I keep referencing it, but it's part of the reason why not only are we giving people multiple tries, but we've really made the course like a lot easier. Yeah. My 5-year-old has already done the first 2 obstacles, first three obstacles, and so for adults, it's going to be head-to-head racing. Cool. So it's going to be super exciting to watch the pros. All the pro ninjas are going to be there. Yeah. But like I said, if you're 60 or 70 years old and you just wanted to try a fun ninja course, this is going to be a lot easier than what you might see on TV. And a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork to try it. It's going to be insane, actually.
Yeah, and having done a few similar obstacle course things recently, I can say it's fun. You have the most fun when you're falling. You really do. And then you learn from it, then you crush it after.
You pushed yourself, and you have an opportunity. You tried, right? And everybody falls. So, that's part of the game. And that's what's so cool about ninja is everybody falls and it's okay.
So let me ask you this, because I was on a climbing trip a few years ago, and I clearly had the wrong footwear for the job, because I broke my foot. I had a weighted pack, and it was my fault, but I had to stick a landing because the rocks were wet, and it just and that was rough, and getting back from there was rough. So I just started doing inversions for the first time, and training myself to do handstands and stuff. So I had to get creative, but I worked through it, and it was kind of fun because I came out learning how to do some fingertip push-ups and other things like that, strengthening muscles that I didn't even know that I had. But getting hurt is hard. So I'm sure you've had a few. How do you get through it?
Yeah, so I separated my shoulder horribly. I had a 3rd-degree separation and I was out for 9 months. I couldn't even do a pull-up. Wow. And the thing is when you get injured, we all get depressed. I mean, that's natural. Right. And it feels like you're never going to get better. And you think, oh my gosh, is this it? Am I hosed now? Am I different? And sometimes you have to live with injuries, and it may be a little bit different. But here's the interesting thing that most people don't realize, and that is that your body is made to remodel itself. And so especially if you're less than 60 years old, when you get injured, the bones, the muscles, they get better by being used and by movement and by remodeling. And so you have to have a positive attitude, and it's hard to sometimes, but the worst thing you can do if you're injured is to sit on the couch and wait to heal. Everyone should be doing active recovery. And obviously you got to start slow. You got to give it a few weeks for, the blood to form scar tissue and to turn into new bone or tissue or, ligament, tendon, whatever it is. If you needed surgery, then you need time to heal from that. Generally, I don't like surgery. Nobody does, but I'm saying I think we do too much surgery for too many injuries.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need it. If your bone is in 6 pieces, you need to put it back together with pins and stuff. But and so you should trust your orthopedic doc and get second opinions or whatever. But ultimately, you need an active recovery. You need to remodel whatever it is that was injured, and you have to understand that most people who have severe, serious injuries bounce back, and if they are active and they have a positive attitude and they train, they will get to a point that far exceeds where they were before the injury. So an injury is an obstacle. It's something that gets in your way, but you come out of it with different skills like you did. Perhaps your fingers get stronger and your shoulders and back from doing inverted stuff. Perhaps you focus on bicep curls if your foot's whatever it is. Perhaps you're focused on agility, one-legged agility. You can always do something. And it's really incredible. You got to be creative, obviously, but the more you can do to keep healthy and fit, the better your recovery is going to be, the better your mood is going to be. And if you need perspective, just think about all the people who have done their best after having their worst injuries. Tommy Caldwell, he cut off his finger. He cut off this finger with a table saw, and his index finger, and then he came back and climbed way harder than he ever did before. So there's something, there's also some lessons in the injuries that you carry with you that I think can make you a stronger athlete as well.
Yeah. Are there any stories that stand out to you of people who maybe you thought they wouldn't come back after you heard about them getting injured? Or
Well, I think everybody can come back. I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
So I didn't doubt this guy for a second, but my buddy Jimmy, one of the most amazing people I know, and unfortunately I don't get to spend enough time with him, but he fell about 70 or 80 feet off a climb, and he broke his back in 3 places. He smashed both of his calcaneus, his heel bones. He broke his wrist. He was shattered, and thank God he didn't have a bad head or C-spine injury, neck injury. And he had surgeries, and he had, this and that. And at the time he was like climbing 513, like easy 513 or something like that. And he has come back now and he's done 514 less than like a year later.
Wow.
And they didn't even think he would walk, And so this is just a testament to the human mind. And he's an amazing guy. And he's got a strong mind, but then again, sometimes you just got to fake it to make it. And if you don't think, you have a strong enough mind to do this, and you just got to fake it, because, it's just true. If you try and work through it, if you let your body remodel, you might be different. You might not be perfect. Things might hurt a little bit, but you can still achieve everything you want to achieve athletically and beyond.
I love that. So one thing that obviously would help people prepare to come in for their first competition or something like that, their first race or anything, is having some level of that baseline fitness that I was kind of talking about. What are the things you think that like are kind of achievable for people who might not have a history of being athletic, but they should kind of start doing right away to start building upon? That way they can have some confidence when they come in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gyms are popping up everywhere in terms of climbing gyms, parkour gyms, ninja gyms. I mean, it's like a massive wave, this huge paradigm shift in sports and athletics.
Yeah.
And, I would say that number 1, 2, and 3 is if you are off the couch or you're a newbie or you're a kid or, you just want to get into stuff. Number 1, 2, and 3, and this is why Ninja and obstacles are so successful, is you got to have fun. If you have fun, it won't seem like working out. You'll go and do it. You'll want to do it more and more. You'll start to see results. It'll be this, self-feeding cycle of positivity that will really improve your life. And so for me, I mean, I would obviously number 1, 2, and 3 recommend the climbing gym because you can go in, everybody's very social. And it's so easy to find any level of climb. You can get on climbs like this and, go up a 45-degree angle that's easy to walk up with handholds and start to figure it out. And then, okay, I want to push it a little bit more. So you steepen the angle. And then obviously, eventually it gets to a flat wall or even overhanging. So, get into a ninja gym. It's always good to do with a friend. Invite a friend out and say, hey, let's go do something fun. Let's go try climbing for a day, and then pick a route. Try and pick a climb. There'll be like tape marks on the climb. Pick something that, takes a couple tries, and then pick something that's a little bit harder and just find your level.
Cool. So how do you get people to level up once they get to that, okay, I'm having fun now, I'm exploring. What separates out the people who just keep getting a ton better, who have a shot?
Right. Well, and still I would fall back to the thing that separates, the people who get really, really good from the people who are just kind of having fun and use it to get a little bit more fit is really their level of passion for what they're doing. It's not easy to go to the gym all the time, and it's easier and easier once you've seen that self-improvement and once you've seen how you can shape your body and your mind and how you can improve and grow. But, in climbing, the people who are the best at climbing are the people who enjoy it the most and just want to do it nonstop and get outside, and they just really want to do it. Now, if you already have that passion and you want to make it to the next level, well, that's where training comes into play. And there's a lot of great training books, and that's an advanced level. I would say the moment you start training for anything, it's because you've taken to yourself to a place where you're very passionate about what you're doing, and you now want to explore your freedom, your freedom within this realm of, skiing or, surfing or whatever it is. You want to get better at it so you can enjoy it, because it always gets more and more enjoyable as things get bigger and harder and more challenging, and you feel more free to move your body through space and time. So when the training starts, that's when you start referencing sport specific books. There's great ones for each book, or you go to a trainer, or you take a class with an expert or a pro. Those are what I would recommend. And I think that's the natural journey for most people.
What about strength training, intensity training, that kind of cross-training approach that you were talking about before? How do you know what's enough, what's too much? How do you balance that all out with the other types of training you're talking about?
Right. Well, and that, to get more specific, and I'm happy to get specific, the younger you are, the more you can do.
Sure.
Okay. And you need less rest. It's always great to alternate. This is age-old advice, but upper body days and lower body days, aerobic, anaerobic, it's good to alternate that stuff. But, at high levels, us athletes start getting into periodization where we do, we'll maybe do aerobic activity and then slowly get into power endurance and then power during the final phases, the final few weeks to prepare for an event. But overall, I would say, as a general rule of thumb, if you're beginning your training, you're passionate about what you're doing, cross training is super important. Everyone needs aerobics. Everyone needs, heart rate control, over-unders, Tabata type stuff, where you're getting your heart rate way, way up, you're sprinting, and then you're letting it recover, and then you're sprinting again. That helps every single sport.
Yeah.
I mean, period. I mean, it's really important. Strength training is also one of the fundamental pillars. Obviously, the stronger you are, the better your strength to weight ratio is, as long as you're not gaining a lot of weight and mass. And so that's another pillar, and that involves going to the gym. And then obviously there's a million things there. You want to use dumbbells if you can for all the fine muscle coordination, if you can, over straight bar presses and whatnot, although there's a place for that too.
Sure.
And so you can get so detailed into all this stuff, and that's why there's PhDs in exercise physiology, and I mean there's whole people who dedicate their lives to studying this. And then the third pillar is really nutrition, and nutrition is just key. I mean, you totally are what you eat. And if you're eating candy bars and drinking soda pop, I mean, you're really hurting yourself and your ability levels. And you might not see it as much when you're a kid or when you're young, but yeah, it's really going to limit you. And then obviously smoking cigarettes is just the biggest no-no ever.
Sure. Have you seen anyone fall because they didn't nail the nutrition piece?
Yeah. It makes injuries harder to heal from. And I've definitely seen in my career that people who are eating healthy and who have focused on nutrition, they always seem to fly and excel and really, be able to heal better from injuries. And they're just able to move faster. Right. There's always that that genetically gifted athlete who is amazing and they eat candy bars and soda pop, and that happens. Look, that happens. But A, it's rare. And B, that person, if they face a serious injury, like in their late 20s or early 30s, it's going to take a lot longer to heal. Yep. And you know what? Ultimately, their metabolism is going to slow down, and they're not going to progress as far as they could have. They might have been like the world's best at something because of the cards that they were dealt. And no matter what, you're limiting yourself if you're not eating a healthy diet.
Yeah. And I think that's a key point that differentiates you folks, the ninjas, I mean, from a lot of other people who are just kind of in the fitness world, who are may or may not be roided up, or it's just like more is always better. More muscles, more. It's a completely different approach. Whereas I think what you guys are doing, this is functional fitness at its best. It's fun. Yes. You don't have tons of muscles. You're in great shape. You're shredded. But this is kind of what the human body is meant to be like, I think, if you're in great shape. It's not meant to, carry around all of these muscles. That's not even good for you in a lot of cases.
Yeah. I mean, think of like Tarzan. Tarzan would have dominated on a Ninja Warrior course.
Totally.
Or Native Americans or Eskimos. I mean, these people who live off the land or are athletic or go hunting, something functional. I guarantee you they would do very well on Ninja Warrior or our course or whatever. Yeah. And so that it's a really good point. Like you said, it's functional. And if anything, we want more agility or more mind control. Right. And just a more total package. If you focus on one thing in particular too much, you're going to get out of balance. Yeah. And balance is really the key to being the best athlete you can be at just about anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're coming up on time, but this has been great fun. And before we go, could you tell folks where they can find you and a little bit more about what you're working on?
Yeah, sure. Well, all the ninjas are really interested in fighting childhood obesity and diabetes because our fans have come out of the woodwork on Twitter and Facebook and, my family lost 70 pounds, or I got my dad to quit smoking. We knocked out soda pop. So all the ninjas have banded together, and we're all putting on this great real ninja tour that's a competition. So go to wolfpackninjatour.com, wolfpackninjatour.com. If people want to follow me, I'm on Instagram. I'm Noah Kaufman MD. It's just one F and one N. Noah Kaufman MD. And I'm Climber Doc on Twitter. And
awesome.
Follow the Wolfpack for sure at Wolfpack Ninja on Twitter and at Wolfpack Ninja Warrior on Instagram.
Great. You have some terrific nicknames. I gotta say. He's the Ninjadoc. Thank you so much for joining us, Noah.
Oh, Abel, it's been a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for listening to Fat Burning Man. Don't forget, before you go, check out fatburningtribe.com. If you have a question for me that you want answered about how to improve your performance, what to eat for dinner, how to drop fat quickly, how to improve your overall health, or anything else, we answer all of your questions there. So quickly, you can get the first month for just $1 for a limited time. Check it out at fatburningtribe.com. All right, I'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Fat Burning Man. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the podcast app, or wherever else you might be listening to or watching this show. Got a second? Please leave me a quick review on iTunes. I always love hearing from you, and if you think someone else might like and benefit from this free show, please take a second to share it with a friend or with a family member. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at FatBurnMan and Facebook by typing in Abel James or Fat Burning Man. Drop me a line anytime. Did you know that I've recorded over 150 episodes of Fat Burning Man, winning 4 awards in independent media and hitting #1 in more than 8 countries? And here's some more good news. You can download and listen to every single episode for free. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com. I'll give you a second to type it in, fatburningman.com. And you'll get all the show notes in video and audio versions for all the past episodes of Fat Burning Man. Better yet, enter your best email at fatburningman.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll even send you a quick start guide to start burning fat right now and a few of our ridiculously tasty recipes as a special thanks for signing up. Once again, just go to fatburningman.com right now, enter your best email to get your free fat burning download straight to your inbox, and make sure that you never miss a show again. This is Abel James signing off. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great week.